He wasn't born a machine, he became one. From the windswept streets of Madeira to the blinding lights of the Bernabeu, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just chase greatness, he built it. He turned pain into purpose, criticism into fuel, and time, his greatest rival, into his next opponent. This is not the story of a footballer. It's the story of obsession, of perfection, of resurrection. Number 1. The boy who left the island. Before the fame, before the flash, before the Sioux echoed through stadiums, there was just a boy with a dream. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born in 1985 on Madeira, a small island far from Portugal's mainland. His father worked at a local club, his mother cleaned houses to keep food on the table. Life was simple and hard, but Ronaldo was different. He wasn't content with being good, he needed to be better. At 12, he left his family to join Sporting Lisbon's academy, alone. He cried almost every night, missing his mother's cooking, the sea, the sound of home. But those tears didn't break him, they sharpened him. Every sprint, every shot, every training drill became a silent promise. I'll make it, no matter what it takes. And then, one night in 2003, everything changed. Number 2. The day Manchester United found the machine. Sporting Lisbon played Manchester United in a preseason friendly. A teenager in a green jersey tore through United's defense like lightning. Stepovers, pace, swagger, nobody could touch him. Players begged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign him immediately. By the next week, Cristiano Ronaldo was a Red Devil. He arrived in Manchester as a boy who loved tricks. He left as a man who defined discipline. Under Ferguson, Ronaldo evolved from a showman into a soldier. He trained when others rested. He studied his own weaknesses like a scientist. Every gym session, every extra sprint, every goal, part of a master plan. And in 2008, it all paid off. Premier League champion, Champions League winner, Ballon d'Or. He wasn't just a prodigy anymore, he was a phenomenon. Number 3. The birth of CR7. 2009. A world record transfer, 94 million euros. Cristiano Ronaldo joins Real Madrid. The expectations were impossible, but Ronaldo didn't just meet them, he redefined them. In Madrid, the showman became a machine. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat, programmed for victory. He arrived at training before everyone, left after everyone. He didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he lived for one thing: domination. And he got it. 450 goals in 438 games, 4 Champions League titles, 4 Ballon d'Ors in white. But the numbers only tell part of it. The rest you could see in his eyes. That fire, that hunger, that rage against mediocrity. The world called him arrogant. He called it focus. Ronaldo turned himself into a global icon, not by luck, but by design. And in his shadow, the greatest rivalry in football history was born.
Number 4. The rivalry that defined an era. It wasn't just football anymore. It was mythology. Every match, every statistic, every whisper in the press became another battle in a war of gods. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi. A rivalry that divided families, nations, and generations. On one side, Ronaldo, the relentless machine, built, sharpened, disciplined to perfection. On the other, Messi, the artist, effortless, pure, as if the game was written into his DNA. 2 different universes colliding on the same planet, one defined by sweat, the other by grace, and yet both sharing a single purpose: to be remembered forever. When Ronaldo arrived in Madrid in 2009, Spain became the epicenter of world football. El Clasico wasn't just a match, it was an event that stopped time. Hundreds of millions watched as 2 men rewrote history in real time. Every goal by Messi ignited Ronaldo's fury. Every record by Ronaldo fueled Messi's silence. They never needed words, only goals. The rivalry pushed them both beyond human limits. And yet, beneath the fire and glory, there was respect. When Messi won, Ronaldo didn't crumble. He worked harder. When Ronaldo triumphed, Messi didn't envy. he evolved. They made each other immortal. The rivalry stretched across more than a decade, across every competition, every conversation. For fans, it was joy and agony. For them, it was survival. Each performance wasn't just to win, it was to not be forgotten. But even the fiercest fires fade eventually. Age doesn't respect rivalry. And as the world began to whisper about the next generation, Ronaldo faced something no rival ever could defeat: time. Number 5. The fall. 2018 was the end of an era. After 9 years, 4 Champions Leagues, and countless records, Ronaldo said goodbye to Real Madrid. He walked off the stage he had built, not because he couldn't stay, but because he needed a new mountain to climb. He joined Juventus, a new league, a new country, another chance to prove he was more than the badge on his chest. At first, it worked. Goals, trophies, applause. The machine still functioned. But something subtle changed. The smile faded, the spark dimmed, and for the first time, it felt like the world had moved on without him. At Madrid, Ronaldo was the show. At Juventus, he was part of the system, not the system itself. He still scored 100-plus goals, but it wasn't enough. The Champions League, his sacred ground, stayed out of reach. The media that once crowned him began to question him. Too old, too selfish, too demanding. The same fire that made him a legend now made him a problem. And then came 2021, the return to Manchester United. It was meant to be the storybook ending, but it turned into one of the hardest chapters of his career. Ronaldo returned to a club that no longer recognized him, a giant turned ghost. The dressing room was divided, the tactics broken, the spirit gone. He still scored goals, still carried moments of brilliance, but he couldn't fix a system built on nostalgia. Frustration grew. He clashed with coaches, questioned leadership, and when his passion boiled over, the media saw only arrogance, not agony. The interview with Piers Morgan, raw, emotional, unfiltered, was the moment the machine spoke without control. And then came the World Cup. The benching, the tears. The sight of Ronaldo walking off against Morocco was more than a loss. It was a symbol. For the first time in 20 years, football moved on without him. But legends don't vanish. They transform. The fall wasn't the end, it was the start of something different. Because what the world saw as a downfall, Ronaldo saw as a rebirth.
Number 6. The World Cup and the Tears. 2022, Qatar. The Last Dance. The final chapter of a legendary career, or so we thought. Portugal looked strong. Ronaldo looked ready. But as the tournament unfolded, something unimaginable happened. He was benched. Watching him walk off the pitch in tears after Morocco eliminated Portugal was a sight no football fan will ever forget. It wasn't just sadness. It was the weight of 2 decades, the rise, the glory, the hate, the love, collapsing into a single moment. That image became a symbol. Even machines can break. Number 7. The rise again. But greatness doesn't retire. It reprograms. 2023, Ronaldo signs with Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Critics call it the end. He calls it a new beginning. They said it was for money, but Ronaldo saw it differently. A new challenge, a new audience, a new frontier. And once again, he became a pioneer. Within months, viewership skyrocketed, stadiums sold out. Other stars followed: Benzema, Neymar, Kanté. The Saudi Pro League was suddenly global, all because one man refused to fade quietly. But the real rise wasn't in trophies, it was in legacy. Ronaldo became more than a player, he became an ideal. Proof that hunger, discipline, and belief can outlast time itself. Even at 39, he trains like he's 19. No off days, no excuses, because that's who he is, the man who won't stop. Number 8. The legacy. Ronaldo's story isn't about luck. It's about creation. He built himself with sweat, sacrifice, and obsession. He turned criticism into motivation. He turned rejection into reinvention. And when the world told him, "You're done," he simply replied, "I'm not finished yet." Because the machine doesn't quit, it evolves. From Madeira to Madrid, from Manchester to Riyadh, Cristiano Ronaldo's journey is a blueprint for every athlete, every dreamer, every believer who's ever been told they can't. He showed us that greatness isn't given, it's earned every single day. Because the truth is, the fall didn't define Cristiano Ronaldo. The rise after did. Tell us, what do you think defines greatness? Talent or obsession? This is Inside the Game.